To wrap up, so there'll be two more questions. The current question is number 11 and number 12. Go ahead, please.
Every day I pass Vancouver's Supervised injection site on my way to Simon Fraser University, and I wonder if it'll be there this time next year. What is the federal government's role in determining the future of Insite?
And who would you like to answer that first?
Mr. Mayencourt.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll probably be the only contrary speaker on this particular point because all three candidates have supported Insite as a fait accompli. In 2002, when we started talking about a supervised injection site, I was very much a passionate supporter. I went out and got the federal government, Hedy's government, did not put any money to operating it. So I had to go out and get $3 million annually for each of the 6 years that Insite has been in operation. I did so on the basis of 4 criteria. First, reduce the spread of hepatitis C and HIV. 2, get more people into treatment. 3, reduce crime in the area. And 4, provide people with better access to health care. So far, all we've managed to do is provide people with better access to health care, and that's great. We have not changed public disorder in that neighborhood. It is unsafe for a family to walk through the downtown east side. It is a shame. You see, people don't always use the Insite. There are 8,000 registered users of Insite. We do not even have 80 of those people in treatment right now. Not even 1% have made it to treatment. Have we reduced the spread of HIV and AIDS? No. The only country in the world that has a worse record, or that is comparable to the downtown east side, is Africa. Everybody has hepatitis C or HIV. That's not saving lives, that's just delaying it and making it more painful down. We need to focus Insite on recovery, and the federal government has a lot to say about it, and will have a lot to say about it, because if they can focus their energies on recovery, which is what the people of Vancouver support, then the government will support it. And if they don't, I'm sorry, we don't need that kind of institution here. We need people to have access to treatment, recovery programs, and long-term stabilized health care. And that's not happening right now with Insite.
Thank you. Ms. Carr.
Wow.
Excuse me. I really know there.
Thank you very much. I have to tell you that, in Vancouver Centre we tend to have so many debates. I don't know what number this is by now, but I'm always excited to come to the debates to find out what new statistics Lorne Mayencourt will make up. I listen, and Lorne is responsible for everything that the provincial Liberal government has ever done. However, I want to say, actually Insite began well before 2002. It actually opened its doors then. But I began as a federal minister responsible for the downtown east side with Jenny Kwan of the NDP provincial government and Philip Owen when we decided to start something called a safe injection site to look at what Europe was already doing with regard to safe injection sites and what Australia was already doing with regard to safe injection sites. The results were extraordinary. I look at addiction as a physician. Addiction is a medical problem. There are medical solutions to it, and those medical solutions include prevention, harm reduction, which is what Insite is about. Treatment, and of course rehabilitation. But having studied addiction medicine, I can tell you that if you leave out harm reduction, you have missed the whole point of the thing. Yes, many people don't go into Insite. They don't go to Insite because there's only one little place with 10 booths. We need to expand it so that all the people who need it can go to it. There are safe injection sites in every single European city and throughout Australia. They work. You know, the point here is that what we give people with Insite is the ability to know that they're not going to die, and that's the one criteria that Lorne missed out, to stop death. And Insite has stopped death.
Thank you. Mr. Byers.
Lorne, a small correction. I don't support Insite as a fait accompli. I support it as sound public policy. I agree with Ms. Fry. Insite saves lives. Saves lives of our fellow citizens. And not just people who are addicted to drugs, but also anyone who is engaging in any kind of risky sexual or other behavior involving the transfer of bodily fluids, because it stops the spread of HIV/AIDS and hepatitis and peer review science, and this is unequivocal. So it saves you, your children. It reduces the risk to their lives. But what we need is more supporting structures around Insite. We need to invest in treatment, in recovery, in affordable and social housing, in mental health care. And with all respect to Ms. Fry, it was those massive mid-1990 cuts to federal transfer payments for affordable and social housing and health care that impacted on provincial governments in very negative ways that are part of the problem. The homelessness crisis is linked to the drug addiction crisis. You can never get away from that fact. Thank you.
First of all, I just want to acknowledge Lorne, because I think the work that he's done on treatment, setting up a treatment facility in Prince George, is good work. But there is still a disconnect, Lorne, between what you had wanted as a provincial Liberal in LA in terms of seeking greater federal support and security for Insite and the role that you play in being a Conservative candidate. I agree with my colleagues up here, except for you, that Insite makes sense. It's about a health issue. It's about reducing illness, reducing deaths. Peer-reviewed science all says it, and we need to acknowledge it and just put funding in place. You asked your question and said, what role does the federal government play? Well, the federal government has to make that decision, because we are talking about the use of drugs, and that is a federal issue. Now, one thing that the other candidates won't talk about, because it's too risky a subject, but I think we need to engage in this subject in our society, and that is the recommendation of the Senate. And the Senate itself, not exactly a radical institution, came out with a report in 2002 which said we have to start looking at, number one, the legalization of marijuana, and number two, the decriminalization of hard drugs, so that you de-link crime and drugs. That's your safety. Addiction as a health issue, a relationship between an addict and his or her doctor.
And final question, you're number 12.
I am. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Like many